Okay, so after Around the Bay 2023, I said that I'd be taking this bike around the bay in 2024. Am I going to keep my promise? Well, mostly. Mostly? Well, it's not quite the same bike. I'm now running Schwab Pro 1 tyres, tubeless, on Alex Adventure 2 rims, the only commercially made rims that can be 36-spoke rim brake and tubeless at the same time. New hubs, rejected from a different project I haven't even mentioned yet. It's now 9-speed on the rear, with a custom 14 to 36 cassette cobbled together from two different ones, one of which is 10-speed and one of which is 9-speed. Cranks are a pair of Shimano 600 series, the predecessor to Ultegra, with a pair of the infamous non-round Biopace chainrings, and a set of MKS AR2 pedals with half cages. The bars are now a wider pair of Sinelli Campione del Mondo, 42cm wide with some newer brake levers and interrupter brakes, and a much newer pair of Tektro brakes. No more dynamo, the lights are now powered by a USB battery pack. So for all of you who said to do it on a proper bike, well, here we go. A bit of morning rain, but it stopped and I'm well on my way to the start line.
And they're all getting out there on the road today.
You guys should be super proud of yourselves already. About an hour advantage. Have we adjusted the clocks?
Crossing the start line, a bit over 1.5 minutes later than last year, the fast lap around Albert Park commences, and the chaos on Beach Road as everyone overtakes everyone else to get into order continues as before. Heading up the Westgate Bridge, I'm not flying up it on e-bike power this year. This does make it a much harder climb. But on the other hand, on the flats, I haven't been overtaken by many. After an inconvenient detour, we then reach the first rest stop at Altona. It seems a lot busier here though, and unfortunately as a result, I waited a long time in the queue for the bathroom. By the time I leave, I'm now just over a staggering 17 minutes slower than last year. This is not going well. So I do my best to make up for that on the next section as we head towards the freeway. Although I've got to say, throwing the chain is not helping. Now riding down the freeway, I seem a lot less lonely than I was last year. But it really feels like I'm just riding into a massive headwind. And it can't be the lack of e-bike, because I do remember I was doing a lot of this section above 25k an hour where I got no power assistance.
What? No motor.
No. Decided to do it on my other bike.
I made sure I did my fair share of time on the front of the peloton as well, and then we rolled into Little River with my legs pretty sore. So when we do arrive, I ask around, and it does seem that this thing that feels like a massive headwind might actually be a massive headwind, but I've reduced the gap down to just over 9 minutes. By the time I depart, unfortunately I've thrown that lead away, and the gap is back up to a bit over 19 minutes. Heading through the industrial section, I'm pleased to see that for this year they have managed to include a gravel section in the course. It is quite popular now after all. Welcome to Geelong, now your lane disappears. And here we are at Cunningham Pier, having reduced the gap to 13.5 minutes. Conscious of this, I try to be quicker and stop here for 4 less minutes. Now it's time for the long run down the peninsula to the ferry. Now with no 11:30 ferry, I think it's not going to matter as much exactly how fast I get there at this point, because I've got no hope of making the 11 AM ferry. That said, this does not mean that I'll be slowing down. And so I roll into Queenscliff 9 minutes sooner than last year, but with a very long line ahead of me that I did not have last time. By the time I get to the front of the line, the first call for ferry boarding is going out. I put my bike on the rack, sprint to grab my lunch pack, and then replenish supplies from the halfway satchel before handing it back and rushing for the ferry's final boarding call. Bike goes on the pile, although I can't just use the kickstand this time. Ferry departure is late, and I'm now 7 minutes later than last year. I do hope they sail quickly, but the wind whipping up the water makes that a little less likely. As we arrive, I make the minor mistake of descending via the back stairs, with my bike having been left right at the front, so getting to it is like swimming upstream. At Sorrento, I'm only just 5 minutes later, so I have clawed some time back. I try to grab the rest of it back by leaving Sorrento as soon as I can, only 5 seconds behind. So through this section I try to keep the pace up as much as possible. And then I hit Safety Beach, a little under 10 minutes ahead. Leaving it, I've clawed back a little more time than that, and now I have nearly an 11-minute lead, although that's only a bit under 4 minutes over the 2022 run. Heading through the underpass, the locals showed up to offer us some fine words of discouragement. Now it's up through the Mount Martha section. This was the one section where the e-bike was actually very useful, the one time it pays for its much greater weight and heavy awkward slowness on the flat sections. But at least I abandoned all pretense of vintage gearing, so I've actually got some proper hill climbing gears. But despite my best efforts, that was still slower, and I'd reduced my lead to just under 3 minutes, or actually behind the 2022 one. Leaving, I'd thrown all of that away, 30 seconds behind, and time to get going. By the time I reach Mordialloc, I've opened up a 5-minute lead. I wait until I'm minimally recovered with some corn chips and a can of Coke, and then it's time to go again. 47 seconds behind. But while I'm behind 2023, I'm now ahead of 2022? Huh. But then, at a red light, disaster strikes. I shift to my other foot, and due to the, condition of the road, the ground isn't where I expect it. I roll my ankle and twist my hip and end up on the grass with a leg that I can't put weight on. This isn't soccer, you don't get a free kick against the road for playing up the injury. It still hurts to put weight on that leg, but if I'm riding, at least I don't have to. And the expected unexpected that you get on beach road. I was doing my best to open up as big a lead as I could, and before I knew it, we reached the right turn. Following that, I flew through Albert Park in a desperate attempt to keep whatever lead I'd opened up. And across the line, hiding behind 2 other people quite effectively. Up the ramp, a lot less sketchy this time, grab the medal and don't drop it. And I did it. 7 minutes 39 seconds sooner than last year. Overall time start to finish, 10 minutes 37 seconds faster. Now at this point I should probably answer the question of where I sit relative to everyone else, because I swear it was windier this time.
You better lift your bike up before I run out of storage.
In 2023, I clearly felt like I was at the back of the pack, rest stops short on supply and not many others around me. And that huge line at Queenscliff is surely not just from the sticker people being slower. But unfortunately, there's no official timing this year. It says that if track times are important to you, you can just do it yourself. That I did, but I don't just want mine, I want to know how it compares to everyone else. If you did Around the Bay in 2024, how did you go? Leave your time in the comments below. I'll be doing it again in 2025, I say, trying to make it sound like that's not in a week's time because that's how long it's taken me to get round to editing this. And this time I won't be doing it alone either. Alex has decided to give it a go for the first time. Stay tuned for a few more videos to come though. There'll be some on the full build procedure of this bike if you're wondering exactly how I painted myself into that corner with the hub situation. Oh yeah, also through axle hubs too. And the other project. Well, all will be revealed eventually. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and see you next time. Yeah, it's actually not that, that's just a side project for it.